What's up, everybody? How you doing? Hope you're having a good afternoon. Hope that today hasn't been as difficult or challenging or terrible as perhaps the last few days have been for some of you. And I hope that if today is harder than yesterday was, that hopefully the rest of your day is more like yesterday was. It's a pretty simple idea. Hey, so check it out. Today we're going to talk about motivation. We're going to talk about looking at life for the motivational quotes. And I posted this in the comment section already, but you can check it out in the description. The idea that motivation comes from an outside source, right? Motivation has to come from an outside source. There's an idea behind that. There's a concept that a lot of people believe is true, and it's that if I don't find another means of motivation, then I'm just not going to bother. I'm just not gonna worry about it. A lot of folks are concerned about their problems to the point where they're overwhelmed, to the point where they allow their difficulties or problems or situations to sort of become bigger in their sight and in their picture than need be. And I'm always reminded about why motivation is important, mostly because I'm oftentimes fighting with not feeling motivated. And I used to think about motivation like outside of seeing a crappy meme on Facebook or the meme of the meme. Like you would see the demotivational posters growing up, and that was really all I knew of motivational posters. But there's an entire generation out there that has literally been living off of motivational quotes on Instagram filtered photographs, and that's what a lot of times people look at when they think of motivation. But the fact is, motivation can come from anywhere. It doesn't have to necessarily come from the places that it typically comes from. And furthermore, if you're going about in life looking for opportunities to be motivated, like if you're setting yourself up that something you need in order to be motivated can be taken from you, then you're actually setting yourself up for an opportunity to have it harder for yourself. You're actually making it more difficult for yourself. In our family, we often talk about love, and we say, why do you love me? And to the kids, why do you love me? And they'll say, just because. Because we've taught them and we've explained to them that while there are things about those around us that we can love and like and appreciate, and there are also things around us, about things about the people that are around us that we dislike or we don't love, that dislike about their behavior or things about them is not related to them necessarily. Like, it's related to them, but the love that I have for my wife doesn't stop or start when she does or doesn't do good things. My relationship can be affected by what she chooses to do and not do, but her love for me won't end because, I do or don't do something. And therefore, it's not like I love you because you treat me good. Well, then if you stop treating me good, I won't love you anymore. It also can mean that love can be a temporary thing. Love can be, if love is based upon how I feel at the moment, then that means that love is temporary, and love is something that can change with the time or with the tides or with the seasons, and that's not true. Like is different. Love is not. Love does not, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that love is not how you feel about someone at the moment. Definitely not even how you feel about someone for a long time. Like, you could be friends with someone for a long time and really, really like them and appreciate them. But even still, it doesn't necessarily mean that you love that person, right? And furthermore, you can say that you love someone, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you like them. And on the other side of the spectrum, you can say that, you're friends with someone, but not actually like them. You can say that. And sometimes you can mean it. You're like, well, yeah, we're friends. They'll make that delineation or differentiation, and they do it unknowingly a lot of times. They don't really realize that they're doing it, but they are. They definitely are. And we do it in life in other ways when we're not aware. And so when we talk about marriage or we talk about relationships with significant others, it's for some reason difficult to apply the same rationale, the same concepts. A lot of people have a lot of problems with that. They're like, well, no, it's not the same thing. And I'm like, no, actually, it is a lot of the same thing. It's very similar. So when we approach a situation looking to extrapolate some kind of canned experience, so like a meme or some kind of a like for instance, if one of my friends had gone through training to be a master craftsman of some sort, like say a master a carpenter, right? And he's going about his work and he's doing his work, but the whole reason he's doing the work is because he enjoys it. But then let's say I set out and say, I'm going to learn how to be a carpenter too. But then my whole motivation for being a carpenter, a master carpenter, or the best of my trade, is just because I want to be like that guy, or because I want to be better. And that is the motivation that is propelling me, and it will ultimately end poorly. Ultimately, I mean, if it doesn't end poorly, it's not because of me, it's because of circumstance. Hey Moose, what's up, man? So the ultimate idea is less about going into a thing with or like having motivation, because that's what a lot of people think is like, well, I'm going to get motivation. I'm going to find some motivation. Somehow I'm going to get motivated. That's what they say. And that's not a good way to think about it, because we're already using motivation in various ways that we're not even aware of. We're doing it without even realizing it. And so when we come to that understanding, when we have that awareness, it's freeing, it's liberating, because we then no longer have to be controlled, or we no longer have to submit to what other people say is this is normal, or this is what's accepted, or this is the this is the par. Here's where we're at, and this is where you guys should be at. That's what a lot of people believe, and so then they just go about life like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do, right? Like, I'm done with college, or I'm done with school, I'm done with high school, now I go to college, right? I'm done with college, now I go to my job, right? That's just what I do, right? And they spend their whole lives, many people spend their whole lives trying to obtain a goal with motivation that's not all that dissimilar to the motivation of myself trying to become a carpenter just because my friend is a carpenter. Like, it's not bad that I want to be like my friend who's a carpenter, right? He's a master carpenter, for God's sakes. I mean, anybody want to be. I want to be like Joe Rogan, right? He's an amazing guy. Everybody wants to be like Joe Rogan. Guy makes $1 million. He's amazing. He's easy to talk to. Seems like he's a pretty successful guy. And so, it can be easy to say, oh, I want to be like Joe Rogan. But then if I go into podcasts just because I want to be like Joe Rogan, just for that reason alone, well, then that's wrong. And I'm probably not going to do as well at my podcasting as I could have done had I just gone into it for the right reasons, i.e. either it's a good thing to do because it's good. Like, some things are intrinsically good, or some things are intrinsically bad. And so if I'm going to go into something just because it's good, then that's all right, like helping homeless people or helping needy people or feeding the hungry or, saving starving babies in Africa. Those are good things to do because they're good things to do. But then there's also other things to do that are good and also have different motivations. Like, I want to carry my dog around with me every single day, not because I like my dog. Fact is, I don't a lot. I carry him around with me because of what he does for me. So it's a pragmatical approach. I'm looking at it saying, okay, these are the results of carrying around my dog with me. These are the results of not carrying around my dog with me. So I'm going to take a look at the results of both. I'm going to compare the two. I'm going to decide what results I do want, and then I'm going to make my decision. Right? Very calculated, very, very, very intentional. Not flippant, not haphazard at all. And so I'm not going to approach a subject or a situation at all unless I need to. When I was driving a truck, I was working for FedEx. I was a FedEx driver, and I would go and deliver these packages, and it was tough work, man. It was hard. It was hard work because it was thankless work. I was alone all day long, mostly, and I had to basically load up all my packages alone. There was drivers next to me at the loading station at the warehouse in Council Bluffs, but by and large I was alone, and so I had to know what to do. I had to be by myself, and so that's where I fell in love with podcasting, and I fell in love with the idea of it because that's where I started listening to them. But my motivation in working that job as a FedEx driver was to make money, and the boss guy there is an amazing dude. His name is Darren. He's an amazing guy, Solid dude, really, really amazing. Just a great guy. He was around when some of the issues with my brain started getting worse, and he was a big help to us and great resources. Anyway, FedEx is a great company if you're looking to work for them. I don't know anything about them. If you've got something bad to say, then keep it to yourself. But anyway, I was working one day, and I backed into something that I shouldn't. I hit it, and it was bad, and it sucked. And he told me the first rule of backing that day. He taught me that rule. He said the first rule of backing is don't back. And the second rule of backing is only back if you have to. And the third rule of backing is don't back. So that was kind of funny. It was sort of like a way to remember it. Don't back up. You don't need to. Like, that's what he would teach me, right? But that's totally a motivational quote right there. You know, life is a highway. I wanna ride. You know, rear the rearview mirror. You know, stereotypical country music lyric song. Blah, 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 blah. That's the whole thing. That's the whole thing. That's what it sounded like. But it was totally applicable data. Don't back means I won't have to worry about backing into anything if I'm not backing up. That's totally good data to have. That's good information. I should follow that information if I'm driving a truck and doing that and blah blah blah. It's good stuff. So some things are good and applicable and are also motivational quotes. So don't dismiss something just because it kind of looks sweet and cool and has an Instagram filter, but also don't just pay attention to something because it looks cool. Some things that look cool are actually crap, FYI. And some things that look really, 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 really bad are actually really, really good. Some people that look really, really, really rough and gruff and hard to deal with are actually not. Some people that seem really irritable and rude are actually not. Things are not always as they seem. Don't just simply accept something because it's the norm, right? That's the theme here. So stop looking for motivational quotes. You know, if more people were worrying about the words that they said and how their words might themselves be quoted, and less concerned with the quotes of other people who went before them, and perhaps maybe we might see a little bit of a difference. Perhaps maybe we would see less mental health breakdowns and more people helping other people, being consistent. Speaking of consistency, I am consistently saying that motivation is not something, it's not a tangible thing. It is an innate thing. It happens. You are a motivated person. You are motivated by different things. And so I think that it's less about motivational quotes and more about restructuring or refocusing, right? Because if you give the appropriate amount of focus, it doesn't matter your motivation. Things will happen. Something will change. Effects will be made. It's just a matter of ensuring that the effects that are made or the results that come about are the results that you want. And then also be prepared that if the results you get are not the results you want, that it's not going to change your outlook or situational position. Like you're no matter what happens as a result of this decision or that decision, you can choose to react or respond. You can choose to do either one. You can choose to allow the circumstances shifting and changing without your permission to change how you feel, or you can choose to not allow them to change how you feel. It's your prerogative. It really is. And it seems really easy for somebody to say who isn't going through something or has not experienced trauma or heartache, but to hear somebody else who's gone through more heartache be transparent and honest for a moment and say, hey, you know, I deal with this too, and it's hard and it's difficult and it's challenging and it sucks. But I'm going to worry less about trying to get what I think I should get out of life, and I'm more going to worry about ensuring that, you know, let's take stock of our resources. Just like after a mission or after a thing, you do an after action review. Well, you do the same thing beforehand. You get ready. What do you have at hand? What resources do you have? What size is the problem? Do you have the tools to face it? If not, do you have the wherewithal to deal with the problem without the right tools? See, that's the thing. It's not about, well, you need to get the right tools in your toolbox. No, man, sometimes you don't have the right tools in your toolbox. Sometimes you're not able to do what you need to do. That's a fact. Sometimes you fail. Sometimes you fall. Sometimes you mess up, man. And so saying, well, you just need to get the right tools. It's like, no, you just need to get the right motivation. No, you don't need motivation. You are motivated to sit on your butt and eat food. That's what you're motivated to do. You have the right amount of motivation. You need the right amount of focus.
You need to ensure that you're putting your mind and your body under submission. See, my mind is easier to put under submission, typically. I just put something shiny and sparkly in front of it loud enough and often enough, and that's all I'll think about for that time being. But my body is different. My body is lazy. My body is constantly wanting to rebel and do what it wants to do. And many people use pain as a means of choosing to stop doing what they know they need to do with their body. I did it for about a week when I had these nasty little shingle things that were exceptionally painful and disgusting and horrible and terrible and painful. But they went away, and they're good. They're gone now. And there's no pain there now, thankfully, or less pain. But I only gave myself about 4 or 5 days of no push-ups or sit-ups before it was like, you know what, I got to do something. I'm getting lethargic here. I'm starting to grow roots. I need to get up and get moving. I need to do something. I need to stop looking for some sort of quote to get me off my butt and do what I need to do, and I just need to do it. I just need to get up and do it because I know that that's the right thing to do, and I know it is. So when I think about parents with children who are special needs, I think, oh my gosh, how terrible that must be. But parents with special needs look at husbands with PTSD or TBI, and they think, wow, how horrible that must be. At least I hired my husband. And then the guy with the, it's like, it's not about what motivates you. It's about where is your focus. Like, we're constantly burning fuel. We don't need more fuel. Most of us don't. Most of us just need to ensure that we're using the fuel we have in the right places. Putting the correct emphasis on the right syllable, as it were. Speaking of obnoxious and horribly inane things, I'm going to bring up my dog again. BorisTheServiceDog.com. It's got references to some of the advocacy work we've done here in Omaha, and also resources about service dogs, how to interact with them, what to do, what not to do, how you can get access to a service animal, what they do to help veterans and other people. They're amazing. Dogs are absolutely amazing, and they're annoying. They're terribly annoying sometimes. Having them around can sometimes be like having a quasi-oblivious child, but nonetheless, they're absolutely amazing, and he's definitely given me my life back and my freedom back. So check out that website, BorisTheServiceDog.com. Also, for an archive of old podcasts or resources, old graphics, my Facebook page, that kind of stuff, go to TimothyLocklear.com. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter at Tim_Locklear and at Timothy Locklear. So check them out. Last but not least, I do some work with a nonprofit organization called Veterans for Natural Rights, and we try to help veterans restructure the way they think about their trauma. We also try to help affect legislation and natural medicine discussions and research and all those things to help veterans and veterans' families. That being said, I really do feel strongly that there are giant gaping holes of missing focus and missing things that should have been done by a lot of people that I know. A lot of people that I know often say, or are often found saying, man, I just don't know what to do. They're saying, I just don't know what to do. And so where they're headed is unclear, and oftentimes how they're going to get there is unclear. And so it can be really easy to get downhearted, to get hopeless, and to feel like there's no hope. There's no reason to keep going. There's no means to keep going. But again, if you keep your eye on a motivational quote or having motivation, well, then maybe that might be your problem. Perhaps consider focusing on focus. Consider putting your attention on the right things. Focus on focusing, right? Because you have, every morning, if you woke up and you felt like you were going to have explosive diarrhea, I promise you, your motivation would be through the roof to get to the bathroom because you don't want to poop your pants. But if you didn't care about pooping your pants, your motivation to get to the bathroom would be low. Maybe none, if you didn't care about it. So that's all about perspective. You see, when we're young, we care less. When we're old, we care more. And then when we're older, we care less about the pooping in the pants, that is. So that's just a sort of a comedic, piss-poor example of what I'm talking about. That we can ultimately decide how interesting or motivational each situation in our lives is going to be. How applicable we want them to be. And some things sort of inadvertently propel themselves to the front, and they do that without permission, and it's annoying and irritating. But it's those times that really test our wherewithal and our capability to be focused and strong and aware of our surroundings. So anyway, I'm hoping to get back to jiu-jitsu soon. I'm thinking Monday is going to be the day. So stay tuned for more posts about jiu-jitsu, because I'm sure that's going to be awesome. I tried to go this week once or twice. It just didn't happen, and it was so difficult and pain. And so it's just, I really think I'm ready. I've gone almost a whole month without being able to train, and I've been doing a lot of physical activity at home, a lot of push-ups, a lot of sit-ups, a lot of pull-ups, a lot of stretches, a lot of basic calisthenics and stuff I can do at home that will help me sort of at least stay a little bit sharp, so that by the time I get back to the mat, I'm not freaking out. Listen, guys, I know that you feel like you're alone, and I know that sometimes it can feel like you're the only one thinking the way you're thinking, but you're not. I promise, I assure you you're not. And the way I know that is that I've lived on this earth for 30 some odd years, and I have not yet met one person who is just as motivated and focused as I am about the things that I am. And so because I know that not everybody is this focused on the same thing, that means this world is diverse and culturally and humanly different. It's different. The worlds we live in are vastly different than those of the people even across the street sometimes. And so just it's important not to assume that we know what other people's situations are, and that we be constantly considerate of those situations and issues. Or we can choose not to be considerate. We can just blow them off, and we can just be rude, and that's okay too, I guess, if that's what you choose to do. But just remember that you've got to be prepared to face the ramifications of your actions. Every drop in the water, every brick in the stone in the creek is going to it's going to cause ripples, sometimes splashes, and we need to be ready and prepared for that. So, appreciate you guys. I appreciate you listening. Stay tuned for more. Thanks so much.